Hello everybody, this video that I'm posting, sorry I'm out of breath, I just had to run upstairs to get my camera. Basically I got discharged from hospital 2 days ago. Oh, it's cold. 2 days ago. I've been in hospital 2.5 weeks I think. I had 15 IV fluids, like potassium, sodium, glucose and just normal saline, stuff like that, to try and rehydrate me. I had a lot of trouble at first because the reason I went in was because, right, start again. Before I went in, my heart rate was racing. I know it with POTS, when I stand my heart rate elevates anyway, but not to the extent where it lasts, you know, all day every day for like a long period of time. And this was a week before I went into hospital, and it was raising up to about 160, 170 when I was just, from sitting to standing, my heart would go from about 80 to 100 when I'm sitting, and then as soon as I stand it would race to about 120. Then when I step forward and walk, it races to about 150, 160. And so after a week of that, and being quite dehydrated, and it's actually so hypovolemia I had, not dehydration. Hypovolemia actually mimics dehydration with POTS. The symptoms are all the same, you know, fatigue, like confusion, dry mouth, no spit like to swallow because you're so dehydrated, and actually the hallmark symptom of that, you've got a white tongue, and it's quite bubbly and very dry. But yeah, the reason with POTS, with dehydration, is most doctors don't know the difference between hypovolemia and dehydration, sorry. But the difference is, dehydration is obviously water loss, but hypovolemia is blood volume loss, because the blood vessels are far too relaxed. So there's not enough, and if you don't drink enough, then there's not enough fluid to fill these vessels, which leads to dehydration. That's why with POTS we have to increase our salt intake and our fluid, because the fluid fills the vessels and the salt holds it there. But for some reason, even though as much as I was drinking and eating salt, you know, increasing salt and fluids, and drinking these Gatorade drinks that are like full of electrolytes and stuff like that, my POTS and that just seemed to hang on, sorry, thought it wasn't recorded. My body didn't seem to want to retain any of it, so I was quite hypovolemic, but the doctors in the A&E didn't even know what that means or anything, so I explained it to them, and they was like, well, your bloods are okay, so you're not dehydrated, but with POTS your bloods come back completely normal, because it's not dehydration, it's hypovolemia. That's what I kept on like trying to get across, and in the end they did listen, but he says, oh, you don't look dehydrated, and I just went, okay, and I went, well, I stuck my tongue out, and it was just pure white, and he went, oh, and he goes, right, okay, we'll get an IV in, and he came back with the needles, couldn't get a vein anywhere, because I was so like dehydrated, my veins had just completely collapsed. There was nothing. He tried everywhere, here, just everywhere, couldn't get one. And in the end, I went round to MAU, which is the medical assessment unit. They managed to put a cannula into my finger, which was the only vein I had, literally the tiniest vein. And you can just see the little hole where it's been. I don't think it's there in the finger anyway. Hey everybody, sorry, I'm going to have to do the rest of the video on my phone because, hang on a sec, sorry. I'm going to have to do the rest of the video on my phone because it cut off. My camera's completely like on the brink of, well, whatever, and the flash is really bright on this. Anyway, as I was saying, they managed to put an IV line in on MAU, and I had 15 bags of fluid, potassium, sodium, saline, glucose, all that. But I had a lot of trouble, and I mean a lot of trouble, when I first went to the MAU and put that up. I had loads of trouble with nurses and doctors not knowing what POTS is and not saying, oh, you don't need any drips up, you know, you're not, even though the doctor in A&E told them, and it passed on that I needed to be on fluids continuously. So for the first 2 days in these assessment units, I was having really bad treatment by the members of staff there, you know, coming, you know, writing one drip up for a couple of hours and then leaving me overnight with nothing when it was supposed to be continuously all the way through the night, day and night again. When they transferred me from MAU to SAU because they had a bed crisis, sorry, that light is really bright. When they transferred me, actually, I was explaining, and I've actually prepared loads of information sheets explaining what POTS is, what it's about, what the symptoms are, what happens in a crash, and how to treat. Well, you know, like with IVs and stuff like that. And there was one nurse and one doctor who came to speak to me, my mum. I gave them all the sheets and they read them there. And even my mum said, sorry, a piece of fluff, even my mum explained what it is and everything. And this literally was because they wouldn't put up another IV because they just didn't want to. And actually when they went back to the desk at the nursing station, 3 nurses and 1 doctor actually took the mickey out of me, saying, oh my god, she's in hypovolemic shock and what on earth should we do, you know, really taking the mick. And, you know, our bay was here and you just walk out the door and up a bit and there's a nursing station, so we could hear everything they were saying about me and my mum and about the condition. And it's not nice because all I was trying to explain to them the difference between dehydration and hypovolemia, hypo, not per, because I think I said it before in the start of the video, the blood vessels are too relaxed, so you have blood volume loss, not water loss, so that's why it mimics dehydration and so forth. Anyway, they was really taking the mick, and the doctor actually came back and said, right, I'll put half a bag of fluids up, 500ml, even though I'm supposed to have litre bags continuously. He says to me, and I says, I'm supposed to be on litre bags, you know, one after the other for I don't know how many night or whatever. And he says, well, I can give the other half for you to cuddle overnight if that'll make you feel better psychologically. My God, when he said that, and then he was laughing as if it was a joke, and I was like really shocked. I actually laughed and just was like, yeah. Like, and then I looked at my mum and she was like, what the fuck? So it was both laughing, but like, you know, like, what? And as soon as he went, I was like, what an beep hole, you know? He was so condescending and so abrupt. It was just, I've never met, and he was like, he actually knows about POTS, and he calls himself a specialist cardiologist, but his attitude towards young girls with POTS, he said, he says, oh, all the girls I've seen with POTS, you know, they've got boyfriend troubles, school troubles, so when they get POTS, that's it, the world's dying, you know, the world's coming to an end, and, you know, they don't have anything serious to worry about, so they home in on that. I was like, thinking to myself, I really didn't say it, I held back, but I really wanted to say to him, do you know what? I've actually been through life and death situations this year. I've been through 2 major operations that saved my life. I've had parts of my bowel removed, which twisted, perforated, and had fluid drown in my stomach. You know, and you know, it was just all that's been happening. I was just like, yeah, we haven't got anything serious to worry about, really, have we, us POTS people? But anyway, event over. Sent me up to the ward, and I had, sorry, let me just check if it's actually recording still. Yep, it is. That's good, that's fine, and I hope it's actually got my face on it and not just this bit. But yeah, my heart rate when I'm standing up still is between, well, it's about 80 to 115 when I'm sitting down. At the minute it's, I can't even see because that light blinded me. It's 99 at the minute because I'm sat down, but as soon as I stand up, it'll go between 120, and then as soon as I step forward to walk, it goes up to about 140, 50, 60, 70. Highest it's went is 180, just literally I was just brushing my teeth, that was it, just brushing my teeth. I've lost it. I've lost what I was going to say again. Yeah, basically they sent me home saying, your condition is rare, we don't know how to treat you, we've given you 15 bags of fluid, and they started me on Midrodine tablet, because the specialist, well, one of the specialists, she came down from Nottingham to see me, and started me on that, and she confirmed that it is POTS, and confirmed, well, not confirmed, but said that I most definitely, positively, whatever, have EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I've got to mention that either to my doctor or to the specialist in January, which I see on the 16th. But anyway, they sent me home, still really ill. I'm a bit more hydrated now, but my heart rate's still really bad. I can't do anything really. And hopefully, well, get Christmas out of the way with. I know I love Christmas, but you know, I just want it to be done and over with so I can get this sorted once and for all, you know, get to next year and then hopefully get it sorted and have a year without hospital. I know that's going to be impossible, but I want a year that's going to be a better year than the past, say, 7 years, at least, you know, even if it's like, out of the whole year I spend a month in hospital, that'd be so much better, because this year I've spent 3 months at home, that's it, 3 months out of the whole year. And yeah, that's that really. So let's see how the Midrodine works. It's not really doing anything at the minute. It's supposed to lower your heart rate and raise your blood pressure, but my blood pressure is still quite low, and my heart rate is still very, very high. Most people say, are you stressed? And I'm like, no, I'm not stressing. The only person stressing me out is you, because you're saying it. But yeah, no, nothing's stressing me out as such. But that's all it was really, just an update on the whole hospital malarkey, and then the new medication, and getting the POTS confirmed once and for all. It's like, yeah. But yeah, that was it. Oh, there's one more thing. When I was up on the ward, this student doctor came up to me and says, don't tell me what you've got. I don't know what condition you have, but they've told me that it's quite interesting and quite unusual. I've got to take your symptoms and your history, and I've got to try and guess what you have. And I was like, yeah. And I said, you're not going to guess it. And then he says, right, okay. And it was like an hour or whatever later. I told him everything. I told him all the symptoms. I gave him like vital information, you know, like about the blood vessels, the tachycardia, the not retaining fluids and salts. I was going to say fluids and salts then. Fluids and salts. I still didn't get it. But he said the only things he came up with diabetes, Addison's disease, and psychological issues. And then he says, I know you haven't got them, but that's the only thing that he would think of. And I was like, yeah, that's what every doctor thinks. And he was actually saying, oh, I think it's probably something, you know, with Addison's and IBS, one of these diseases, in other words, fake diseases. And I was like, well, it's definitely not fake. I told him what it is, handed him all the information, and he was really sorry, this is really bright, it's making me like spots. Gave him all the information, he read up on it, and he was actually really interested. He kept coming back to like answer Liz question. He says, do you know what, next doctor that says to you that it's all in your head, tell him you've actually got science behind you, you know, that proves POTS is real and it is affecting, you know, hundreds of young people or middle-aged people out there.